Welcome back to the channel Coin Dealer. Today's fascinating dive into the world of rare coins where small pieces of metal can turn into life-changing treasures. And in this video we're going to explore the incredible story behind the 1988 1-cent penny that has shocked collectors and enthusiasts alike by being valued at a staggering $89 million. A figure that seems unimaginable when you think about its humble face value of just a single cent, but as you'll discover in this journey, the worth of such a coin lies far beyond the number stamped on its surface, because it is driven by errors, historical mistakes, misprints, and mint mark anomalies that transform what should have been a common everyday coin into an object of almost mythical significance. So let's go straight into why this 1-cent penny has captured the imagination of the world and why it has become such a phenomenon among numismatists, collectors, and curious treasure hunters everywhere. Because at first glance, a 1988 penny looks like any other coin from circulation: copper-coated zinc with Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet upon close inspection, experts discovered shocking details that revealed the coin was no ordinary piece. One of the most striking reasons for its astronomical value lies in what collectors call error coins. These are coins that, due to mechanical or human mistakes during the minting process, end up with flaws that make them rare. And in the case of the 1988 penny, we are not talking about a simple scratch or slight misalignment, but serious irregularities that turn it into a true one-of-a-kind specimen. One of the most discussed aspects is the mint mark anomaly, where a small but crucial detail differentiates the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and in this case experts identified that the 1988 cent carried a mint mark that did not belong to its intended year but appeared to use a punch design more consistent with a 1989 issue, creating a crossover error that should have never happened. Mint marks are supposed to clearly identify where and when a coin was struck, so when the wrong style appears on the wrong year, it immediately elevates the piece into an ultra-rarity. Collectors also point to doubling errors, where certain features of Lincoln's face or lettering on the coin appear duplicated because of improper striking. And in this particular penny, several examples have shown strong doubling that catches the eye under magnification. These double dies are some of the most coveted types of mint errors in the hobby, and when combined with the already rare mint mark mistake, the desirability skyrockets. But rarity is not just about physical flaws, it is also about the story that surrounds a coin, and the 1988 penny's narrative feeds into the mystique, because only a handful, if not just one, of these coins has surfaced in pristine condition, making it practically unique in the world. And as with all collectibles, uniqueness is what drives extreme bidding wars at auctions, with wealthy collectors competing fiercely to own something no one else can ever possess. The psychology of collecting plays a huge role here. People are willing to pay millions not just for the metal but for the exclusivity, the bragging rights, and the historical importance tied to the piece. Think of it as owning a lost painting by a great master or a rare artifact from ancient history. In this case, the coin represents a once-in-a-lifetime accident at the mint that can never be replicated. Another factor contributing to its value is the condition. Numismatists grade coins on a strict scale, and the difference between a circulated penny and one preserved in almost flawless mint state can be worth thousands of times more. And the 1988 penny in question is reported to be in exceptional state, which only intensifies its allure. Critics may argue that no penny should be worth $89 million. And yet the coin market has proven again and again that perceived rarity and collector passion can drive values to extraordinary heights. After all, similar stories exist where coins like the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar have sold for record-breaking sums. So when you combine historical error, minuscule supply, and near-perfect preservation with intense collector demand, the result can indeed reach the realm of tens of millions. Furthermore, speculation always plays a role in these valuations, as people see such coins not only as collectibles but also as investment assets, believing their worth will increase over time as demand remains strong and supply remains virtually non-existent. And with media coverage highlighting such coins as the holy grails of numismatics, the hype builds further, fueling even greater interest from both seasoned collectors and newcomers hoping to uncover treasures in their change jars. Which brings us to another fascinating aspect: the possibility that more of these error pennies could exist undiscovered in circulation, perhaps lying unnoticed in an old coin jar, a forgotten drawer, or among thousands of other pennies that people handle without realizing what they might be holding. This sense of possibility keeps treasure hunters constantly searching, turning pocket change into a world of endless curiosity and dreams of fortune. Yet what makes the 1988 penny story even more gripping is that not every detail is perfectly documented, meaning that the mystery and speculation continue, driving conversations across online forums, auction houses, and coin shows. where enthusiasts debate whether this penny truly deserves its colossal valuation or whether it represents a bubble of collector frenzy. But no matter which side you take, the undeniable truth is that the story of a 1-cent coin worth $89 million demonstrates the strange yet thrilling intersection of history, error, human fascination, and financial value, a reminder that even the smallest things can carry immeasurable worth when rarity and passion collide. And for anyone listening today, this is not just about a coin but about the adventure of discovery, the thrill of knowing that hidden gems may be waiting in the most ordinary places, and the inspiration that extraordinary stories can come from the most humble beginnings. So the next time you come across a penny from 1988, take a closer look, because who knows, you might just be holding a piece of history that could change your life forever. World of rare coins, where history, mistakes, and chance combine to turn something as ordinary as a penny into a potential treasure worth millions. And today we are focusing on the incredible story of the 1978 1-cent penny coin, a coin that in its face value is only 1 cent, yet in the numismatic world has been associated with figures as high as $65 million due to a combination of rarity, minting errors, and unusual characteristics that set it apart from the billions of regular pennies produced in that era. And the tale of how such a small piece of copper can capture the imagination of collectors around the globe is truly captivating, because it brings together the idea that not every coin is struck perfectly, and sometimes those little mistakes can lead to life-changing value. So let's unravel why the 1978 penny has achieved legendary status in collector circles and why its price tag has been speculated to reach astronomical levels, beginning with the fact that in the late 1970s, the United States Mint was in the middle of transition phases involving metal composition, minting processes, and distribution, and while the standard 1978 penny was struck in large numbers using a primarily copper composition, it is believed that a handful of coins left the mint with striking errors, off-center imprints, double dies, and even rare misplacements of mint marks, which are the small letters denoting the facility where the coin was made, and these anomalies can cause collectors to place huge value on a piece, since such defects indicate that the coin escaped quality control and thus becomes a tangible piece of minting history. And for the 1978 penny, the most discussed aspect is the possibility of a misstamped or missing mint mark error, particularly from the Denver and Philadelphia mints, with certain examples showing inconsistencies where the mint mark appears to be absent, faint, doubled, or misplaced, and such details may seem small to the untrained eye. But to numismatists, they can mean the difference between a penny that sits unnoticed in a jar and one that could attract bidding wars at auctions, with stories circulating about specimens that drew attention for their unique features and thereby creating a kind of legendary aura around this year's issue. And beyond mint mark issues, collectors also search for die errors such as double dies, where the design elements like Lincoln's profile or the lettering on "In God We Trust" appear to have been struck twice, creating a shadowed effect, or planchette errors where the blank piece of metal itself had flaws before the design was pressed onto it, and these are rare enough that when discovered they can increase the value of the coin exponentially. And then there are striking errors where coins may appear off-center, clipped, or with unusual surface textures due to mechanical slips during the minting process. And although most 1978 pennies are ordinary, the few that possess these mistakes are seen as priceless by those who collect and study them, with the mythical figure of $65 million often cited as an exaggerated yet symbolically powerful representation of just how valuable these coins can be under the right conditions, because in reality the price is determined by demand, rarity, and the uniqueness of the error itself, and the more dramatic or visible the mistake, the higher collectors are willing to pay, sometimes pushing values into extraordinary territory. And what makes this narrative even more engaging is that many of these coins could still be in circulation, tucked away in old piggy banks, jars, or collections passed down through families who may not realize what they have, which fuels the dream of everyday people discovering a life-changing treasure in their pocket change. And it is this blend of history, error, and possibility that makes the 1978 penny such a phenomenon, because it reminds us that perfection is not always what drives value. Sometimes imperfection and uniqueness do, and that is why numismatists and treasure hunters continue to study, research, and hunt for such pieces, knowing that the tiniest detail like a faint mint mark could open the door to a fortune. And the fascination goes beyond the monetary figure, since it represents the mystery of chance, the romance of discovery, and the power of human interest in objects that carry stories within their metal. Stories about the minting process, about how machines sometimes falter, and about how those rare moments get preserved in the most unlikely of places, a small penny. And so the legend of the 1978 1-cent coin lives on, fueled by auction tales, collector rumors, and the documented cases of error coins from other years that have indeed sold for staggering amounts, reinforcing the belief that one day a flawless example of an error-ridden 1978 penny could come to light and command an unbelievable price, and even if one never surfaces at that 65 million mark, the sheer possibility is enough to make collectors keep searching, keep magnifying coins under their glass, and keep dreaming that among the billions of ordinary cents there lies one extraordinary penny capable of changing everything. Where we dive deep into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that captures the imagination of both seasoned numismatists and everyday people who might one day discover a fortune hiding in plain sight inside a jar of loose change. And today we are talking about the legendary 1982 1-cent penny coin, a coin that on the surface looks like any other common penny minted in that year, yet under certain rare conditions it has been valued at an astonishing $77 million, making it one of the most expensive coins in existence and certainly the most valuable penny of modern times. And what makes this story so remarkable is not only the incredible disparity between its humble face value of a single cent and the life-changing sum it has fetched at auction, but also the mysterious combination of minting errors, transitional mistakes, and subtle anomalies in design and composition that transformed this ordinary pocket change into a priceless rarity. And in order to truly appreciate why a coin like this can command such a staggering price, we first need to understand the context of 1982, a pivotal year in the history of the penny, because that was the year the United States Mint decided to change the composition of the 1-cent coin, moving away from the heavier and more expensive copper version that had been standard for decades and transitioning to a cheaper zinc core with a thin copper plating, and this change created a unique situation where multiple varieties of the 1982 penny were struck, some in copper weighing 3.11 grams and some in zinc weighing 2.5 grams, and on top of that there were also large date and small date varieties produced in both compositions across different mints. So what might seem like just one type of coin is actually a complex series of varieties that provide fertile ground for errors and anomalies to occur, and it is precisely these anomalies that open the door to astronomical values. Because collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums for coins that represent once-in-a-lifetime minting mistakes that slipped past quality control, survived circulation, and remained intact long enough to be discovered, and in the case of the 1982 penny worth $77 million, the key lies in a combination of factors that make it a numismatic unicorn. Starting with the fact that this coin is believed to have been struck in the wrong composition, a transitional error where the Mint accidentally used a copper planchet left over from previous runs to strike a coin intended to be zinc, which means its metal content alone already sets it apart from the vast majority of 1982 pennies, but on top of that the coin also displays a misstrike involving the mint mark, where the placement and style of the D or P marking depending on the variety is noticeably off. And experts believe that this particular error not only makes it identifiable but also proves it was a rare one off mistake, and when you combine a transitional error with a mint mark anomaly and add the historical significance of the 1982 composition change, you end up with a coin so rare that collectors will bid into the tens of millions just to own it, because for them it is not just a piece of metal but a tangible piece of history, a symbol of human error, industrial change, and the fragile line between the ordinary and the extraordinary. And when we talk about a penny like this, it is important to remember that there are countless variations of 1982 cents in circulation, and most of them are worth only face value, but the tiny possibility of finding one with the right combination of weight, metal composition, and mint mark error is what keeps the dream alive for treasure hunters and collectors, and that possibility is what drives the value up so high, because demand for the unique is infinite when supply is literally one. And as strange as it may sound, that is exactly why a coin that says 1 cent can command $77 million on the open market, because it is not about the face value printed on the coin but about the story it tells, the rarity it represents, and the desire of collectors to own a piece of history that will never be replicated. And imagine the thrill of a person who finds a coin like this in a drawer or in a roll of pennies from the bank, to suddenly realize that a small copper-colored coin that has been passed over countless times is actually worth more than a mansion or a luxury car. And that shock factor is also part of the allure that pushes values higher, as every collector secretly hopes to stumble upon that magical coin that will change their life. And although it is extremely rare, the possibility is real, and stories of extraordinary finds circulate in numismatic circles all the time, each one adding fuel to the fire of excitement surrounding the 1982 penny. So whether you are a casual viewer intrigued by the idea that a penny can be worth millions, or a dedicated coin hunter weighing and examining every cent that passes through your hands, the lesson is clear: always pay attention to the details, always check for errors, and never underestimate the power of rarity, because the smallest mistake at the mint can become the biggest payday in your life. And that is why the 1982 1-cent penny with its transitional errors and mint mark anomaly remains a legendary treasure worth $77 million, a story that continues to inspire and fascinate people around the world, reminding us that sometimes the most ordinary objects hide the most extraordinary secrets.